Hey YouTubers, so I wanted to take a couple minutes to just talk about not only the announcement of Android 20 in Dragon Ball FighterZ, but also kind of what implications that I feel like this should really have on the main series in Dragon Ball Super. So obviously, there's a lot of hype around this game thus far. I don't necessarily cover the games on my channel, not because I don't like them, it's just I'm not necessarily a gamer in and of myself right now. Honestly, I just can't make it work with my time schedule. But with that being said, it is a really interesting concept to bring in a brand new Android, especially with the design that they gave Android 21. And also everything around her just seems kind of interesting. And I really would like to see them do something similar, if not almost the exact same thing in Dragon Ball Super. But the question is not only why, but also how are you going to make this work? So one of the reasons I believe that we really need to do this is because it has been somewhat of a tradition in every single Dragon Ball storyline that they have a red ribbon threat and or antagonizing force getting, I guess, going for Goku or going for this, that, or the other. So one of the things we saw in Dragon Ball was Goku going after the Red Ribbon Army, the Red Ribbon Army trying to get the Dragon Balls the same time that Goku was also trying to find this $4-star ball. We also then had, because of the destruction that Goku laid waste to in Dragon Ball, the androids and the Cell Saga, which is in a lot of people's opinion, the best arc that we ever got in this entire series. And also, we all got the Super 17 arc in Dragon Ball GT. As short as that was, it was similarly a Red Ribbon Army type of arc, or at least some kind of revenge arc. And whether or not we need to do the same thing with Dragon Ball Super is still up in the air, but we haven't necessarily seen it. Personally, I do feel like it is that type of tradition thing. It's that thing that just keeps coming back and haunting Goku the same way that Frieza is as well. But the real question is, how do you do this? So in order to basically explain this, and I have a couple of ways, but I really want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about whether or not only should this happen, but how would it actually go about occurring in any future storyline in Dragon Ball Super. But with that being said, I'm just going to jump into mine. And in order to understand this entirely, we have to go back to a trailer made for the US release of Fukkatsu no F, the movie, back in April 2016. One of the things they did was they did a Frieza Force propaganda trailer in order to sell the movie. And if you go back, and I'll put it on the screen here, it's actually really interesting because it shows that this video was made in collaboration with the Frieza Force and the Red Ribbon Army, which I think was really interesting. That was never explained. Maybe it was just like an Easter egg for the fans. In fact, that's probably a lot of what it really was, but it does go a long way to show something really interesting about what a future possible storyline in Dragon Ball Super could actually be, considering the fact that not only did they bring back Frieza, we do know that the Frieza Force, although it's decimated right now, but we thought it was decimated in Dragon Ball Z, but it turns out that they were almost as strong as ever, although they had a lot of trouble, this, that, and the other. I think it'd be really cool that what if remnants of Dr. Gero's, I guess, lab, or maybe even remnants even further of the Red Ribbon Army actually figure out a way to communicate with the Frieza Force and use the technology of Frieza's army the same way that we know it was highly advanced, because they were able to take Frieza's body parts and basically regenerate him. It would be really interesting to use that type of technology with also the technology to make androids that are far stronger than they ever really should have been, considering the fact that when Gero actually made the androids 16, 17, 18, 19, and himself 20, and all the other ones that are from the movies that aren't necessarily canon, but we can take those anyway, especially even Cell, he didn't necessarily know anything about Namek. He didn't know anything about the Super Saiyan. He didn't know anything about Frieza himself and all this other stuff. And yet he also made androids that were stronger than Super Saiyans, and a Cell even stronger than a Super Saiyan 2 at points whenever he got to regenerate, even though Gohan wasn't necessarily functioning at his entirety. So I'm not a power scaler. So guys, I think it'd be really cool to bring that kind of collaboration, or maybe that kind of mentality from the Red Ribbon Army people who are still around, or whether or not it's just like the technology from Dr. Gero working with androids, and the Frieza Force trying to get a revenge on Goku and Co. again in order to do something sinister or something like that. It'd be also an awesome way to introduce Cooler and maybe even the Big Getty Star or something else like that, but maybe that's a video for another day. And make a new android threat that's strong enough to actually fight Goku and everyone else. I've argued on this channel before that it'd be really nice to see a female antagonizing force in Dragon Ball, and I feel like with Android 21 getting as much hype as she is these days, or the last couple days, it would be really interesting to have her kind of be put in the canonized version of Dragon Ball Super. Not that it's not going to happen, or it probably won't happen. I just think it'd be pretty cool. Another way you could actually do this is they have shown us that Universe 3 is really android, robotic, organic biotech life centric. Maybe if not all the universes are destroyed in the Tournament of Power, then they become an antagonizing force, and they do basically the same thing I was saying, using some of Gero's I guess plans or schematics for an android that was never built, and use their far superior technology in order to make an android that's strong enough to actually fight Goku and Co. Considering the fact that they are going to be taken out and potentially have been taken out, and they still probably blame Goku for everything that's actually happening to them, the same way that Universe 9 did and everyone else. So let's just kind of keep it at that, guys. I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about this. Do you like Android 21's design? Would you like to see her be a part of Dragon Ball Super at any given point down the line? I mean, the series has done a whole lot up until this point, but we're not necessarily sure where they're going to go in the future, and this could potentially be an interesting way to drive the series forward and also kind of call back some of the nostalgic things that we saw from all the other things in Dragon Ball. Kind of like what they did in GT with Super 17, but a different direction that also makes sense in and of its own right. So guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Please make sure to go down to the comment section below and tell me one way or the other whether you would like to see her be introduced, or just the Red Ribbon Army concept and android concept to be reintroduced during the Dragon Ball Super timeline. And then also, you know, tell me what you think about her in the game, or whether you're excited to play her in the game. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. But with that being said, guys, I want everyone to have a good day. It's been real.